Today, we're honored to have Nydia Lavish, a remarkable woman with an incredible story of faith, resilience, and determination. As a devoted mother, entrepreneur, and advocate, Nydia has faced numerous challenges and a life-altering health diagnosis, and the loss of her son Hampton. Through it all, she's discovered the power of prayer, healing, and music. Nydia uses her platform to share her testimony and inspire others. Get ready to be encouraged and inspired by Nydia's story as she shares her journey of faith, hope, and triumph. God bless you.
We podcast TV, the Joey Podcast TV.
Thank you, Nydia Lavish, for being on the podcast today.
I'm so happy to be here, Joey. Thank you for inviting me.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your children, and your business?
Well, a little bit about me. Where can I start? I'm the youngest of three. I'm from Houston, Texas, but I grew up in the Dallas area, McKinney. I'm a mother of two, Hampton and Leah. I have my own business. I started, it was one day I was craving some Kool-Aid pickles and I didn't feel like driving to Dallas to go get some. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just make some. So I went in the kitchen, whipped some up, and I had posted a picture on Facebook and it just went viral. And a lot of people was like, do you sell those? And I'm like, no, but I'm about to start. So in 2020 during COVID, me and my husband, we launched the pickle dealer. So we started making Kool-Aid pickles, Kool-Aid pineapples, and eventually we introduced sea moss. And so it took off. Like it really, it was surprisingly, but it took off because I've always wanted to work for myself, be an entrepreneur, and that was just definitely something that I enjoy doing. Like I said, I'm a mother to Hampton and Leah. My son Hampton is 18. He passed away on July 11th of 2023 from cancer. It was a rare cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma. Healthy his whole life. The only thing he did was he was trying to do the mannequin challenge when he was in the 5th grade. And he fell off a 12-foot bridge and broke his wrist. But other than that, no health problems. So he was playing basketball one day. He was the star player of his team. He played basketball, baseball, football. And he had fell, got a bump, and the bump grew bigger and bigger and bigger. It was about his bottom. And he was the type of kid so full of pride. And it had to get really bad before he asked for my help. So it got to the point to where he couldn't use the restroom. So we ended up going to the ER and we found out that it was a tumor. And from there, our life just went from being at basketball games to being in the hospital for weeks at a time. So he passed away. He fought hard. I have my daughter. Her name is Leah. She's the type. She's an introvert. She does not like being in the spotlight, but I respect it. And yes, so I'm just, and I also do music. After the passing of my son, I just started to just write down a lot of because I'm naturally an introvert. So I just started to just write down things that I was feeling during my grieving stage. And I just started putting it into music, and I'm inspired if it just touched one person. I've done my due diligence. And that's something that I definitely enjoy doing, is just being able to turn the pain that I feel into a passion. So, yeah.
So when you were into labor with Hampton, can you describe what that experience was like? You mentioned that you um, died 3 times during that experience in your story.
Yeah, so I got pregnant at 20 with Hampton, with the love of my life, which was his dad. He was 10 years older than me. And he had two other kids. So I just knew that I always wanted kids. I've been healthy my whole life. And things happened to where he broke my heart. And I realized that heartbreak can cause you to have a dis-ease in your body, which lead to dis-ease. And since he broke my heart, it really just put me in a very, very just low vibration, I'ma just say. And so during my pregnancy around the 7th month, I started having like some complications. And so I was telling my OBGYN at the time, I'm like, okay, I think y'all need to induce my labor because my legs is swelling up. I'm having shortness of breath. I was a funder at Countrywide when Countrywide Home Loans was in business. This was about 2005. I'm saying 25, 2005. And so I was telling her I'm having like some complications that just don't seem right. And she was like, oh no, it's normal, it's just a part of labor. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's a part of labor. Long story short, I ended up having a seizure. My heart stopped. They had to call Cold Blue, my flatline, and they had to do an emergency C-section with Hampton. So come to find out, I had a rare disease called myasthenia gravis, which affects your breathing. It affects your limbs, like you can't move. A lot of people, unfortunately, pass away from it because it stops you from breathing on your own. I was on a ventilator for 3 months. So Hampton, when I had him, when a mother has it, they can transfer to their child like the first 2 weeks of them being born. So he was on the ventilator, so we was both fighting for our lives to be here. But all glory to God, we made it. And I was sick for 13 years. Just yeah, it was just something that I had to go through. And it had got to a point to where I had asked God because my mind wasn't sick. Even though my body was afflicted, my mind just kept telling me, Nydia, nothing is wrong with you. You know, start speaking God's word over your life. And that's what I started doing. I just started praying more and just declaring over my body that I'm healed, you know. And one day, God had told me to start taking some herbs because I was on 13 pills a day. I had to go get something like dialysis where they take the blood out your body, filter it through a machine, and put it back in your body. It's called a plasma exchange. I had to do that for 6 years, every other week. And so I don't know how I made it, you know, but I made it. I'm here today. I don't take no medicines. I'm healed, you know. So that's why when the cancer came, I just knew God was going to heal my son, you know, because God healed me. I was like a vegetable. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I could barely open my, I mean, it really does. I'm just say F you up, you know, and it was times to where it got to a point where I'm like, why am I even living, you know? But through it all, it made me a stronger mother, a better. My kids didn't even know I was sick. You know, for a long time, they didn't even know. I could have been the type that said, you know what, because I had my mom, you know, my grandmother, I could have put my kids on them, but I said, no, this is going to be my motivation to get better. You know, my kids was my motivation to get better and overcome that. And all glory to God, I overcame it. I went into remission in 2019 and I haven't had any pills, no treatments, no nothing since 2019. So, yeah, God is definitely a help. You just got to believe it, you know, and once you believe it, it will manifest into your reality. You just got to believe it.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Been disease free since 2019. What's been the most significant change in your life since your healing, and how has your faith grown?
Just being able to have the activity to just get up and go because it was times to where I just had to lay in bed, you know, day after day, week after week, month after month, 13 years, you know, my whole 20s, I was sick. The beginning of my 30s, I was sick. And so I don't take it for granted. It definitely has boost my faith in God. That's why even though my son transitioned, I still believe that God is a healer because God healed me. You know, he didn't heal my son in the way that I wanted him to, but he healed him because he's cancer free. You know, he's disease free. And so for that, I'm gonna always be vouch a spokesperson for God because God definitely is real. Anything that you're going through, whether you need a healing in your body physically, a healing in your relationships, a healing in your whatever the healing may be, God got you. You just gotta believe it. And once you believe it here, it happens in your reality. Because doctors, I had at least 8 doctors tell me I was gonna die from that. You know, they was like, "You ain't gonna make it." You know, like you, and I'm like, "No, I am gonna make it because I know who has the final say." You know, but the journey is definitely not easy. You know, 13 years, it was a lot of light and it was a lot of darkness, you know, but as long as you keep tunnel vision and you keep faith and you don't let nothing move or break a faith, like turn your faith, you got it. You know, so that's why like I say, when my son, I just constantly spoke healing into him, even though I knew he was dying. Who want to accept the fact that their child is dying? You know, but I had even to his last breath. That's why when it happened, it was so surprising to everybody because they was like, they just knew he was gonna pull through because they knew my story, you know. But it didn't happen like that. But in the end, it all happened for a reason, you know. And I'm just glad that as his mother, I got to experience him, and it definitely has boost my faith even more in God. So you can't harden your heart. You got to keep your heart light. You like they saying go. You got to be as light as a feather. You have to because things are gonna come. Yeah, I look at Job in the Bible. Job lost. I think he had 9 or 13 kids. He lost all his kids. And guess what God did? God restored them back. You know, I'm about to be 40. I want more kids, you know. So it ain't over. You know, but yeah, Hampton definitely boosts my faith. Even to this day, because it be times where, you know, if I be at the store, I see a kid that look like my son, you know, I just want to break down and he'd be like, "Mama, no, you know, I'm here in spirit." And because of my faith, that's why I haven't broke down. You know, because losing that was like my first love. That was my first. He was the first person to just love me for me. When I was sick, when I was broke, when I was, you know, nothing, he loved me for me. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
Hampton was a bright and ambitious young man. Can you tell us more about his personality, his dreams, and his aspirations?
His personality, I'ma just classify it as colorful. This young man, because I want to say boy, but he's a young man now. When I say he hugged me, I got at least 10 hugs a day. Like he was very affectionate to me, to his sister. And now I realize why, because his stay here with us was going to be short. He wanted to be an engineer. He was very good in basketball and baseball, very much a team player. Everybody that he encountered, they all have something nice to say, very respectful. And like I said, I didn't even have to do that much of a job because it just came naturally to him. All his teachers, all the doctors, all the nurses, they would always say how respectful he was. And he really enjoyed life. I remember when he was about 5, we had went to a McDonald's. And he was just hyper. He was happy. So it was a little girl. She was like, "What's wrong with him?" Because he was just like jumping and I say he's happy. He was just a happy kid. And his smile was just very contagious to adults, to children. Even to this day, I get a lot of his friends, a lot of people that he went to school with, just still showing me love. And it's been 2 years since he transitioned. So even to his last breath, he would always apologize for being sick. And I'm like, Hampton, do not apologize. So he was like, Mom, I'm just sorry. I'm sorry for getting sick. And he was like, I'm happy it's me and not his sister. He got a
Mm.
14-year-old. So he would always say he was happy it was him and not his sister. And I'm like, really? You finna do this to me
That's
now?
deep.
Like
Mhm.
really,
Mhm.
like you. And I was like, God, if I let me take on the sickness, I would take it on, because as a parent, who want to see their child sick with something that you can't fix,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I'm the type, I believe in like natural healing and herbs and stuff like that. And I beat myself up even to this day and be like, because so many people reach out to me, they be like, have you tried this? Have you tried? And I'm like, I tried and did everything that it was meant for me to do. But regardless, this child could have ate spinach every day. He still would have got that because that was his purpose, and I
Right.
just have to learn to come to grips with that,
Right.
because people beat it and some people don't,
Mhm.
and yeah, he's definitely a warrior. He's the sweetest, most strongest soul I've ever encountered. And yes, he's still making an impact. And he would always say, Mom, I'm gonna make an impact. I'm gonna make an impact. He would always say that to me. And that's exactly what he's done and continue to do.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he is impacting a lot of people. I mean, the videos that you have up on TikTok, on social media, it's impacting so many people. I
Yeah.
mean, to this day, so many families and kids who are going through the same situation, watches the video, it gives them some kind of strength,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that even though your son was going through that transition, he was happy. You can tell that he had the courage, to keep going.
That's what it's about. No matter what, you gotta keep going.
You mentioned that Hampton never let his illness break his spirit. Can you share some stories or moments that stood out to you during his treatment?
Um, when he was in the 10th grade, this is after he had went through chemo, and he was like, Mom, because I wanted him to stay at home, because I know kids can be mean,
Hmm.
especially when you're
Hmm.
different, and
Right.
we had moved to a new town. We had moved to a town called Anna, and it was his first year there. And he was bald headed. He had lost all his hair due to the chemo. And I'm like, Hampton, you don't have to go to school. He was like, Mom, I want to go. He said, this is what makes me feel just like I still exist, because me, I
Hmm.
just wanted
Hmm.
to shelter him. He
Right.
was
Right.
like, no, I want to meet people because he's social butterfly. So
Right.
he had went, and it was a boy that was teasing him because he used to wear a beanie, and he
Hmm.
tried to take his beanie off, and he was like, look, I'm bald headed, so what? And
Hmm. Hmm.
he wanted to play baseball, and the coach was very worried because of course he had cancer. And so Hampton was like, no, I'm good, because at this time, because he had beat it twice. It had went into remission when he was 14, when he was 15, and then it came back at 16. So he had got a job. He was working at McDonald's, and he went to Papa John's, and he never let it break his willpower to just be normal, and that is what helped me just realize, okay, this is not the end of my son. He still have life to live.
Hmm.
It wasn't a death sentence, and so by him just being ambitious enough to want to work, he went to all the games, he went to the dances. As like he wanted to just be a part. And now I'm so glad and thankful that he did. He got his first girlfriend at 15. You know,
Mm.
he took her to like it wasn't prom, but it's like they was homecoming. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he made her a little sign saying, "Will you go with me?" And I'm like, "Okay, okay." So I was just happy that even though he was sick, he didn't let it stop him from living.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he still had a willpower to live. And that just motivated me and inspired me to just be like, okay, I just let go, because like I say, you become like a mama bear or a papa bear when your child is sick. Like you want to just shelter them, and God was like, no, let this boy live, you know, let him experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that he did, you know. And it took him a while. He didn't want to share his story when he first found out that he had it. And I said, you know what, Hampton, whenever you feel ready, share it, you know, if ever. And so one day he said, Mom, I'm ready, you know, because like I say, we knew that his days, God knew that his days would be short lived, you know. And so I'm glad that he found the inspiration and the courage to want to share his story, because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it's a lot of kids go through that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear their story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most cancer patients I seen was on a commercial. You know,
Right.
I didn't realize it until it came into my home. But I've
Mm-hmm.
never had an experience with that outside of a commercial, or you know, when you go
Mm-hmm.
to the store, they be like, "Will you donate to St. Jude or something like that?" Anything outside of that, I never. So I said, you know what, Hampton, whenever you ready, let's put your story out there, because God just kept telling me, let him share, even if it's just this much, let him
Mm-hmm.
share. And I'm so glad he did, because this much has
Mm-hmm.
been a
Mm-hmm.
very big impact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just him having the courage and the willpower to, even though he was sick, and he realized that he was dying May of 2023. That's when he realized he was dying. And in that at that time, that's when we started making the videos.
How did you cope with the challenges during that time, and how did your faith sustain you?
My faith, like I said, that's the reason why I'm able to do this podcast with you, is because of my faith. Like they say, sometimes we go through things now to prepare us for the future. And
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't get sick, if I didn't go through those 13 years of sickness and be able to
Mm-hmm.
sit here healed, healthy, and physically fit, I wouldn't have believed in God. Like I really
Mm-hmm.
would have hardened my heart and said, shoot, forget God. God done took my son. But because I went through what I went through, I know that
Mm-hmm.
God is a healer. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that nothing is in vain, you know. So it was very challenging to see your healthy child go from weighing 165 pounds down to 98 pounds. You
Mm-hmm.
know, being able to run, being able to pick you up,
Right.
to being
Right.
in a wheelchair. You know, that right there, it will it's a lot of people don't come back from that, you know. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
place, I was in a dark space, you know what I mean. My dark space be where I just go in, I close after, it just be me, you know, and my daughter. And because I had her, and I have 4 French bulldogs, and those are like my kids. They say, "Look, you don't have time to go into no shit. Like you still got responsibility, you know."
Mm-hmm.
So just, I thank God for her. I thank God for my dogs. I thank God for just faith, to just keep going. And to me, what faith is determination. You have to be determined. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be determined to believe in something that you probably can't see with your 2 eyes, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean it's not there. You know, and a lot of people, they put a time limit on faith. Faith requires patience. You know, it requires persistence. It requires courage. It requires you to be delusional. You know, when I was sick, I was telling people I'm here. They looking at me like, how you healing? You got a whole, I had to wear like a port. How you healing? You got a whole port in your chest. I'm like, because I know what God told me. I would know what God showed me in my dream. So you definitely have to stand 10 toes down when you have faith. A lot of people, like I said, they put a time limit on God. If God don't come through on this time, I'm going to just do it my way. No, you got to ride it out through the end and allow yourself to align. And once you get to that point to where God wants you to be, that's when your breakthrough happens. You can't give up. Before you can't get it's like once you just get to a place to where, okay, I'm just go with the flow. I'm just go, because it always work out for you anyway. And so I just always go back to the times where I needed God to come through for me, and God came through for me. I go back to my testimonies, because life can get it can get kind of funky. Like it's, but like I say, you just have to keep your faith, keep your flame lit, because everything is going to happen to blow that flame out. And you gotta let your light shine in the midst of the darkness. You still gotta let it shine. Even if you have to stand alone, you got to let your light shine. People go call you crazy. They go call you what like God ain't with. They just think about Jesus, what Jesus went through. They really thought that Jesus wasn't the Son of God. And he telling y'all, I am the Son of God. They murked him. So we are all Jesus in a sense, because we all have to go through trials and tribulations to get to our promised land. It's not going to be easy, but you have to go through the journey. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey, because the journey is what builds you. And that's what Hampton used to always say. This is building my character. It's building my character, and that's exactly what it did. Like, this boy matured from 14 to, it was just like a night and day switch, but that was God working on him, because his day would come, and he the lucky one, because he did his thing and he got on up out of here. He received his crown, so I can't be mad at that, because death is appointed to all of us. It don't just happen to certain, we all have to get up out of here. And I want to go out like that with honor. At his celebration that we had, he had a auditorium full of people. People had to stand up. People I ain't never even met. And I'm like, that's honor. That right there is definitely the way to go. So I'm like, I can't be mad at God. I was sad. My heart, I had a big hole in my chest, but at the same time, I can't be mad. You just have to learn how to process it, heal, and continue to go forward. And that's what faith is.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
You've been open about the challenges you faced with your family. How did you feel about being the black sheep? How did that experience affect you? And how have you found healing and forgiveness?
So I'm the type, like I said, I have an older brother and an older sister. And they used to classify me as the golden child. Like, I was my mom's favorite, And even for my family, I'm the type, I'm always show up. Whenever y'all need me, I'm there. And unfortunately, sometimes the families that we are born into doesn't necessarily mean those are that's the family that we are supposed to stay connected with. Especially when God is starting to elevate you, whether it be spiritually, financially, in your career, whatever it may be. And my family, I love them dearly, but it's like when you believe in yourself and you have others around you that don't believe in you, you have to cut them off, because what it's going to do is going to hinder you.
That's right.
It's going to weigh you down. It's going to keep you from flying. Like you don't want to be a caterpillar no more. You want to be a butterfly and fly. And especially after losing my son, like going through his sickness, I went through that alone. When he transitioned, they reached out to me, but it just wasn't the same, because it's like some family members have the motto of do good, but don't do better than us. Because if you start doing better than us, it's a problem. And so, unfortunately, due to jealousy, due to envy, especially after I had launched my business, you really go to see, like when God started to lift you up just a little bit, you really start to see people true colors. They were so used to this Nydia being sick. They were so used to this Nydia being alone, being a single mom or two, because my husband at the time, he had been in prison for 11 years. So it was always me. I've always had to have me, and I've had my family as well. But it had got to a point to where God had said, Nydia, I want to elevate you. I want you to have more. You not supposed to just be here. And so when God go to elevate you, elevation requires separation. It requires you to detach from people that you have genuine love for. And a lot of people, they miss God's blessings. They miss out on God's blessings because who they're connected to. See, people that you connected to, they carry different spirits. Everybody don't have a spirit of light, even the ones that call you family. And so going through that and realizing, like I say, things happen to make us and mold us into who God wants us to be, because we are all here sent on a mission. We're not just here to look cute and have a good time. We all have a God-given purpose while we're here. And so I was looking at my family and I'm like, okay, who gonna be the one to take a stand? Who gonna be the one to, because different families carry different generational curses. Generational curses can be having children out of wedlock. It can be drugs. It can be alcohol, whatever it may be. And so someone comes in the family to be the one to say, you know what, I'm gonna stop this. I have a daughter. I don't want my daughter to go through abuse in a relationship. I don't want my daughter to go through having children out of wedlock. So I gotta be the one to put an end to it. And so once you realize that, that's when the devil fights you even harder, and the devil will use people that's closest to you. I'm the type, I don't really have friends. My closest ones was my family. And the devil will use anybody that allow the devil to use them. And unfortunately, it was my mom. It was my sister. It was the ones closest to me. But once I realized what was going on, and even as a kid, like I grew up in a church, in a Pentecostal church. My mom, she used to make us go to church. I mean, we had to go to church Sunday, Tuesday, Friday. I mean, God, I'm glad that I did, because that's what made me who I am today. And so you just have to learn to listen to God's voice, and a lot of the times when God elevates you, is going to make you uncomfortable. You are going to have to separate yourself. I have been, like I say, the black sheep since 2020. 2020. Okay. It has just been me and my daughter since Hampton passed away in 2023. And in this season of isolation that I've been in, my faith has gotten stronger. My love for myself has gotten stronger. Like, because when you are with a crowd, you can't hear God's voice. When you amongst the crowd, you can't hear God speaking to you. Your intuition is not going to be as strong as it is when God gets you by yourself. And so in this season of isolation, I have learned who I am, and yet learning who I am. Because I went in this season of isolation, I was able to not close my heart out to God when my son passed away. But it allowed me to open myself up even more, and realize, okay, God, you real. Like, this life is precious. You know, we don't know when our day comes. So you think I'm finna spend my days around people that I know who don't rock with me? No. I'm gonna be, even if I gotta stand alone, I rock with me. You know, and so when you start loving yourself, God will send people in your life that truly love you. But sometimes you have to, like a fire don't just happen to just destroy stuff. A fire happens to clear the path for new things to grow, you know. And so I'm in a season in my life, I only want divine connections with people that have a heart of love.
Mm-hmm.
The family that we create, you know, is the family that we are supposed to have. Sometimes, like
Mm-hmm.
I say, the family you're born into, just because you born into that family don't mean that that's your family.
That's
Most
right.
people I know with a heart, they done got betrayed by their family. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like people that you love, betrayal don't come
Mm-hmm.
from no enemy. It comes from the person that's closest to you, you know, because they
Right.
know. They know. And so it definitely teaches you wisdom. It teaches you to be just more discerning of the voice
Mm-hmm.
of God and the voice of the enemy. So I take pride in being the black sheep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind
Mm-hmm.
it. I
Mm-hmm.
like being alone. Like now,
Mm-hmm.
God got to get me to the point to where,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Nadia, you need to get out there more. Like you need to be
Mm-hmm.
more, because you after so long, you just get used to it. Because I don't have to worry about other people's problems. I don't have to worry. I don't have this wearing me down. Because when you are empath, you take on a lot of people problems. So people would call me. Here I am, sick with a darn hole in my chest, and my
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
family calling me with problems that I can't even solve. It's like go to God, you know. And a lot of times we take on other people's burdens because we have a heart, and they know that. And that's what weigh us down, and it just gets you down, down, down to the point to where you can't elevate. So God will allow you to separate yourself so God can elevate you. Yeah.
You know, you said it. You said the key word. You said discernment. You know, a lot of people don't have discernment, or they don't pray for discernment. But once you have that, you can tell the good from the bad. You can tell um, the wolves dressed in sheep's clothing. You
Yes.
know what I mean? So it's big. It's big. You know, when you said discernment, because it's time that we're living in. You know, you have to really discern um, strangers, but at the same time, you gotta discern family. You know, because a lot of them are not filled with good intentions. Like you said, you know, a lot of them want to see you do good, but no, I don't want to see you do better than me. You
Hmm.
know, but when God sees your heart, you know, God elevates those who have that good spirit and wants to be able to move forward and like you said, fulfill the purpose. Because we all have a purpose. Despite all the challenges you face, you found peace in writing music and using it as an outlet for your grief. Can you tell us more about your music and how it has helped you?
My music is inspirational, it's motivational, it's high vibrational. I believe in calling things not as though they were. I call myself super rich. Okay, even though it's been times
Mhm.
where I done been super broke, I'ma
No,
still decree and declare that I'm super rich, and I'm definitely going to listen to music that that builds my faith even more. You know, I'm definitely going to listen to music that uplifts me, because things that we speak we actually bring into our reality. And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I don't watch the news. Like, you know, every once in a while, I just, you know, put my ear to the street to kind of what's going on. But if you get all that in your spirit, it's going to cause you to worry. If you watch CNN every day, you're
that's
going to
true.
start to
Yeah.
worry. You know, so whatever you ingest, not just people think that, okay, if I physically eat poison, it's gonna kill me. If you listen to poison, it's
Mhm.
gonna kill
Mhm.
you. You know,
Mhm.
God created the world with his spoken word. God
Right.
spoke, let
Amen.
there be light. You know, and
Mhm.
there was light. So this right here is our magic wand. And you can
Power
either
of the
use
tongue.
it to
Mhm.
bring life into your life
Mhm.
or bring death into your life. So with my
Mhm.
music, I'm talking about obtaining the things that God has for you. You make motivational music.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I want my music to inspire you. I made music that your granny can listen to, that your auntie can listen to, that your kids can
Mhm.
listen to. You know, just
Mhm. Mhm.
so I don't
Mhm.
even listen to the radio. You know,
Mhm.
it's just so, I'm gonna just say low vibrational. You know,
Mhm.
and what it's doing is calling things in. If you speak about death, if you listen to death, you're
Mhm.
gonna invite death into your home. You know,
Yeah.
if you listen to prosperity, if you listen to, okay, let me see how can I manifest something that I want. You know, let me focus on what I want instead of what I don't want. And a lot of people don't realize once you change your mind, you change your life. You know,
Mhm.
I have gotten so many opportunities, so many miracles, so many just by changing my mindset. And it's a process. I had my spiritual awakening November of 2022. I worked at the post office. I was a rural carrier, the one that delivering the truck. And I'm sitting in there one day and I'm casing my mail and I'm like, okay, I could do this for the next 10 years, you know. That's what I'm thinking. But,
Mhm.
and they pay you good, but you slaving. I was away
Mhm.
from my kids. I was working 13 hours a day.
Mhm.
Hampton was going through what he was going through with his health. And I'm like, God, this ain't it. Yeah, my bank account growing, but my purpose is not being fulfilled.
Mhm.
Like my light is not shining. And so God spoke to me one day and said, quit.
Mhm.
I said, okay. you know,
Mhm.
that's what I want to hear
Mhm.
anyway. You know,
Mhm.
didn't really I had a little savings, but it wasn't enough to maintain me, you know, for a lifetime. And God
Mhm.
said, quit. God said, I got something that you are supposed to be doing because we are in a time where we are supposed to get compensated for our God-given gifts. You know, we are not meant to slave no job, work, being away from our families, going
Right.
somewhere that we don't want to go. You know, all that is just a routine that we have been programmed to believe. You know, and yes, it's okay if you having to work to just get by, but don't be so caught up in it to where you killing yourself. Don't be so caught up in it to where you not letting your light shine. Because God will compensate you for your gifts. Like I say, you just have to believe it and ride it through to the end. So yes, my music, like I say, I'm 39 rapping. A 39-year-old female. You know, like who, you know,
Mhm.
but this is like God say, how you know what your purpose is your purpose is something that you don't mind doing for free. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't mind doing it for I don't this time I love this therapy for me. This therapeutic.
Mhm.
Regardless if I
Mhm.
get 1 view or 100,000 views, it's therapeutic for me because this is something that I enjoy doing. You know, and
Mhm.
I believe I'm good at it. I'm great at it. And I'm only going to get better because it's done with love. You know, and
Mhm.
anything that's done with love and a pure heart, and you know you're doing it with good intentions, God is going to expand it, put it out there the way that God needs to put it out there. You know, you are going to, whenever you're supposed to go viral or get that, whatever, God is going to let it happen for you. You know,
Mhm.
you just
Mhm.
got to, like I say, trust in divine timing. So yes, it's definitely something that after the past, I started writing before my son passed, but when he passed away, that's when I said, okay, because I used to write poems growing up, and I
Mhm.
used to have a very good handwriting. So in school, a lot of the girls they was like, "Will you write me a love letter for this boy I
Mhm.
like?" You know, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna make it rhyme." You know, so it's just
Mhm.
always been, but I didn't think that I can actually make music. It was just something that I enjoy doing. So yeah, when he
Mhm.
passed away, I said, you know what? I'm gonna just put my pain into just in this pen and just start just writing music, you know, talking about
Mhm.
things that motivate me and inspire me, you know, and lift me up. Because
Mhm.
that's what a lot of people need. They need something that's going to lift them up, something that's going to give
Right.
them willpower to want to live, a willpower to want to love. People don't talk about love no more, especially not in music. People don't talk
Mhm.
about you know, just loving yourself, loving God, just things that's going to uplift you and elevate you. So yeah, that's why I started writing, because one, I was just listening to going through my playlist and I'm like, you know what? This ain't really nothing. It's a lot of good artists that make high vibration, but I said, you know what? Let me actually write something that I want to listen to. Something that's, because music is affirmations. Just like when you pray, prayers are affirmations. When you go to saying, okay, God, I'm healed. Like me and Hampton, we made a song. I'm healed, healthy, physically fit, sickness and diseases far from me. I breathe success in and out my lungs. So I had him saying that even though my baby was dying. But guess what? They gave him up after a year. He lived 27 months because I went to speaking. I wasn't focused on him dying, because if I would have been focused on him dying, he probably wouldn't have lasted that long. I say, no, we are going to speak life into you. The nurses was like, do you want a cremation or do you want them buried? I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I'm speaking life into him. I don't want him to hear that, because if he knew that, he would have, like I say, whatever you give attention to, it grows. Where focus, what they say, where attention goes or where focus goes, something. A focus goes, attention grows. Something like whatever you focus is going to grow. So if you focus on, like with women, they focus on, well, I don't want this kind of man. I don't want this kind of man. But yeah, you attracting that kind of man because that's what you're focused on. If you go to focus on the kind of man that you want and actually align yourself to get that kind of man or woman, then that's what you're going to get. So it's just really just reconditioning your mind. It's a process. I listen to people like Joseph Murphy. He had a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I read that book and it really changed my life. Like it whatever we think, we are like boomerang. So if I wish ill on my neighbor, that ill go come back to me. If I wish hate on my brother or sister, that hate go come back. Because whatever we put out, it comes back to us. So that's why we have to be mindful of what we think and what we speak, because we are creators. Just think about if you want something to eat, you be like, okay, I want a cheeseburger and some fries today. You probably be thinking about it the night before you actually get up and go get it. Next thing you know, you go to Walmart, you go buy the stuff, or Kroger's go buy the stuff. Then you go in the kit. You actually we manifest every day. People don't even realize it. Even the type of car you want, even where you want to live, even the type of job you want. You whatever you think here is going to be your reality. So yeah, music is very, very vital. And what you listen to, it definitely comes into your reality.
Looking back on your journey, what do you believe God has been trying to teach you or show you through all of your challenges that you faced?
To just love myself. In 2020, because I had a perfume business called Who Sent You. So I'm in there picking out my perfume, and this lady come in there and she looking at me, and I'm like, okay, she just kept looking, and she was like, God is you about to experience God like never before. And at this time, my husband had came home from prison. Okay, so things are going good. They're not great, but they're good. Hampton, he was healthy because we didn't find out he was sick until Easter of 2021. So everything was going good, but I kind of put God on the back burner because we have a bad habit. When things are going good in our life, we do put God on the back burner, and then when problems hit, oh God, I need you. I need you. So I did that, like, cause my prayers have been answered. I'm manifesting the things that I desire, but it was something in my heart, like, okay, Nydia, you're not fulfilling your purpose. Like God always give you a nudge in your spirit that, okay, you need to turn. You need to turn to God. So when she told me that, it stuck with me because I knew I had kind of gave up praying. I wasn't meditating. I wasn't fasting. You know, I'm caught up in being a mom. I'm caught up in being a wife. I'm caught up in being business. So I'm just caught up in life. So in 2021, the next year, everything just kind of just erupted. And God has said, I want you to love you, because when you love yourself, you love me, because God dwells inside of us. God is not up in the sky, and God is not in no building. God dwells inside of you. The way God speaks to me, God don't speak to you like that, but God still speaks to you. God has, we all have our very own connection with God. I'm going to just say that. So going through all what I went through and being here today, everything has been about for me to love myself, because I have loved others before me. I have went without so others can eat. You know, people that stuck a knife in my kidney. You know, people that wanted me, that people that was happy that my son passed away. They laughed at me. They was happy because it hurt me. And these is people that I fed, people that I took into my home, you know, and they laughed at me. They was happy that my son passed. And that hurt. But guess what? It builds me up, because when you are put in a position to where all you have to depend on is God, it gives you a superpower that can't no man take away. Okay, it gives you wings, baby. You can fly. Okay, so it just really, God just said, I want you to love yourself, love you. Now my daughter is in Arizona with her dad, she's staying with him. So God got me in a position to where it's all about me. It ain't been all about me since I was 19. You know, I don't know how to act. I'm like, what? I don't gotta cook no meal for nobody. I don't gotta wash nobody. It's just me. And God say, pour into you. Pour into you. Love you. Because when you love yourself, you love me, the God that dwells inside of you. So all of this has been about just loving me and putting me first. And like I say, because for a very long time, when I was a kid growing, I used to pray for wisdom. Not knowing why I prayed for wisdom, but I said, I just want to be wise, you know, and it comes with a price. When you pray for wisdom, when you pray for patience, God is going to test you, put you in position for you to elevate that patience, and that it ain't just gonna come. Like, you're gonna be in positions. And I have been in positions to where I have seen people that I love just treat me like I don't want to say a dot, but like I'm just nothing. And these is people that I would lay my life down, you know, for. But like I say, it's just all about loving it. Because if you don't love you, who else gonna love you? If you don't pour into you, who else gonna pour into you? And I was guilty of relying on others to fill my cup when I'm supposed to fill my own cup, and be around people that fill my cup. Because guess what? I'm gonna fill your cup up. I know I'm gonna do my part, but I'm a giver, and I was around takers. You know, my whole life, taker, take, and I'm constantly giving, constantly, to the point to where I didn't have nothing left. And this little bit that I had left, God say, pour it into yourself. Now my cup is overflowing. You know, and the people that took from me, they knocking on the door. No, you can't come back in. You done showed me you a snake. You think I'm gonna let you back in? God say, use discernment. Because my heart be like, dang, man. God say, no. Use your discernment and your wisdom. And remember, because we be guilty of taking on other people's karma. We be going through things that we take on other people's tests and other people's burdens. And God say, no, don't take on nobody else's karma. Don't take on nobody else's drama. Only focus on you. Only pour into you, because when you was going through it, who was there for you? My son was in the hospital for 2 weeks. He had caught a blood infection. I didn't have no mama to call on, no daddy to call on. No, I was working 2 jobs. I had to leave my son with nurses, you
Mm.
know, just so I could go to work and come back. And so it didn't make me bitter, but it made me better and it made me
Mhm.
wiser. It made me stronger because, like I say, when you be in a position to where all you got to do, when your back is up against the wall, and all you have to do is call on God, it gives you a superpower that can't no man or woman break. You know, and so yeah, I'm grateful because all this has just taught me to love me, and I love me like I love myself when I was a kid. Like it's I'm definitely in that energy, and a lot of people from my past, they want me to let them back in. They calling me, sending me messages, but no, because I believe I forgive them, but once a person show you that they're not for you, believe it and keep on moving. And we got a problem. We got a habit of, well, I forgive them and I want to let them back. You can forgive somebody, but that don't mean you have to let them back in. Because
Mhm.
I have let people back in, and guess what they did? They hurt me again. So that's where your wisdom come in at. That's where your discernment comes in at. And we have to learn the gift of detachment, detaching from people, from habits, from things that no longer serve us. I'm not that same Nadia that they knew 5 years ago. That's the Nadia that they're stuck on. That's no longer me. So yeah, we definitely have to just learn to love ourselves, and only accept people in your energy in your life that love you. And if they don't love you, and if they're not willing to learn how to love you, then you got to cut them off and just keep it moving,
Mhm.
you know, because it's
Amen.
going to weigh you down. It's going to burn you.
What would you say to viewers, to those who are going through similar situations that you've been through? Um, what would you tell them? How would you motivate them in their situation?
I would just tell them to not give up and remember that life is not a prison. It's not a sentence. We are supposed to live. We are not supposed to settle, settle for anything that comes our way. No, we are supposed to believe in our dreams. It's a lot of adults that really stop dreaming. They stop
Mhm.
believing in their dreams. And just because you've gotten older, just because you've got your heart broken, just because you gained weight a lot, no matter what has happened, whatever dreams you have, as long as you believe that you can achieve them, no matter what, keep that tunnel vision. Keep that faith. Because we are in a time where I be on TikTok, I see people that's in their 80s that's dancing and
Mhm.
doing things, and
Mhm.
that really just, even though they probably got 12 views, just to
Mhm.
have the courage to live, because a lot of people don't have the courage to live their dream. They
Mhm.
so worried about what other people think. You got to get to a point to where you don't care what nobody thinks. Keep your faith in God and believe in you before you ask someone else. You have to believe in you before
Mhm.
you ask a crowd to believe in you. Because if you
Mhm.
don't believe in you, they not gonna believe in you.
Mhm.
And that's where it starts. You have to
Mhm.
realize that God will guide you. God will lead you. And when God guides you and leads you, God is going to align. Like when me and you meet,
Mhm.
this is
Mhm.
divine. We were
Amen. It is.
supposed to meet. We were supposed to
Mhm.
do this
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
this something that I've been wanting to do a podcast. I'm like, okay, God,
Mhm.
how is this gonna happen? How? And
Mhm.
look,
Mhm. Mhm.
God will send your helpers to
Mhm.
help you on your journey. And
Amen.
y'all be helpers to one another. So yeah, just don't stop dreaming. Don't stop believing, and don't let nothing break your faith, because everything Death will happen. Divorce will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Bankrupt. Everything will happen to try to throw your fate, but it's all a test
Amen.
to see if you're gonna still stand. And as long as you still stand, whether you look to your left, look to your right, and you stand by yourself, as long as you're standing, that's what matters. Because remember, we come into this world just us. Even twins, they are born one at a time. Ain't no twin born at the same. They born one after another. We are all here for a special purpose and a special mission. We are not just here to have a good time. We are supposed to have a good time, but at least make it last.
Mm-hmm.
Make it stick for the next generations that's gonna come after you.
Yes.
Be that generational curse breaker. So your
Amen.
kids and your family don't have to go through what you went through. And just like I say, don't stop believing in you. No matter what, if you got a rock by yourself, as long as you got God, you go be straight. You go be all right.
Amen.
As
Mm-hmm.
long as you got God, you will be okay because God
Mm-hmm.
is going to send things, people, give you opportunities. Like my car payment. This was like last year. My car payment because I stopped working for a minute. I was a job coach. Got behind on my car payment like almost 3 months. It was a organization, a cancer organization, reached out to me. They said, "You got a grant for $1,900 that's about to expire, but if you want to go ahead and use it, we'll send it to you." What? 19, and my car payment was like 2,100.
Mm-hmm.
And that covered, and I was able to pay
Mm-hmm.
the. That's how God works. It's like as
Amen.
long as you just believe, you just got to believe it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
God will. Don't worry about how it's gonna happen, how it's gonna work itself out. Just say, you know what, God, I'm gonna rest and let you go to work. Because a lot of people,
Amen.
we so caught up in making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we gotta say, let me rest and let God go to work. And every time before I go to bed, I always tell myself, I'm able to rest now because God is in control. And
Mm-hmm.
when I get up there, I got opportunities. I got money in my account that wasn't supposed to be there. Like God will show up. We just cannot
Mm-hmm.
put the limitations on God by not believing. And we are in a time where people don't talk about their testimonies no more. But now it's time to share your testimonies,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's dark, whether you done went through the darkness or the light. Share it and
Mm-hmm.
put it out there because it will
Mm-hmm.
inspire others. And God is going to bless you for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go through what we go through just to go through it. We go through it to help inspire because we are helpers to one another.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be ashamed of what you've been through. Just because it happened to you don't mean you deserved it. If somebody played you and all that, but just grow through it and let it make you better and not bitter.
So where can people find you or get in contact with you?
They can go to my TikTok, Super Rich. That's SUPARICHH 888, or go to Super Rich on my Instagram. I'm on Facebook also. So yeah, just put in Super Rich and I will pop up. I do have a YouTube, but I'm not on there like that. And then the Hampton Strong Foundation, if y'all want to follow that. I did Luncheon Foundation. We help families in need, mothers, fathers that's going through any type of disease or sickness with their children. I'm getting more people involved so we can actually go to different hospitals and just
Mm-hmm.
have different conferences because when my son was going through what he was going through, sugar is the number one feeder for cancer. Okay. So when I was there, I'm looking at the vending machines filled with Skittles and hot fries and just unhealthy things that actually feed cancer. And so that really just alarmed me because I'm like, why would y'all have this on the cancer floor? Y'all know that sugar feeds cancer. Why y'all don't have some cucumbers or something that's going to regulate and help the body instead of throw it out? So the Hampton Strong Foundation, like I said, we are getting more people involved so we can do more. just spreading awareness, because there's so many mothers, so many fathers that reach out to me on the daily asking for my advice on what to do. I had a young lady, she have a 4-year-old son who had to get his eye removed due to cancer, and all that, oh, it just breaks my heart, because like I said, I was blessed that my son was 14. He was able to verbalize what he was feeling. He was like, Mom, I want to do this chemo. I'm able to do this chemo today, or I can't do it. A 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, they really can't verbalize it. So they're being forced to take things that their body really can't withstand, So just like I say, keep your faith in God, keep your determination, keep your flame lit, and let your light shine for the Most High. Just let it shine, especially now. We need that. We need to share our stories. Don't be ashamed of it, no matter what it may be, whatever happened to you from childhood up until when you became an adult. Don't be afraid to share it, because it's not just for our purpose, but it's for others as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nadia, I appreciate you taking your time to be a guest on the podcast. May God bless you and your family always.
Thank you so much, Joey, and you as well. It's been a honor. I'm so glad that we was able to do this.
All right. I want to thank everybody for praying for me, for keeping me in their prayers. It's been a long 3 years, the hardest 3 years I will ever have to deal with in my life, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Why is it worth it?
Because I've learned more about myself these past 3 years than I did the other 13 years I've been on this planet. I thank God for everything, bad or good. And what I do is, whenever I know it's about to be a fight come up.
What kind of fight?
Like this cancer fight.
Okay.
I laugh.
Really?
I laugh because I know it's the devil trying to come after me. And
why you think the devil is trying to come after you? Why the devil wants you?
If you're chosen by God, you're also chosen by the devil. God chooses you to give a message only you could give. Nobody on this planet can give it the way you give it. The devil will do anything in his power. He will come himself. He has come himself to stop me. I won. I'm undefeated. I need to step it up. I've been stepping it up. I've been fine. But now, since I'm stronger, I need to go all out.
Step up like what? In what way? In what ways?
I need to just be more determined, more consistent, more passionate about things, more focused. And Mom started crying and told me, I looked her in her eyes and I lied to her, and she ain't do nothing but protect me, and she ain't do nothing but care for me, love me, even whenever nobody else did. Whenever I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, she's the only reason that I made it out of that hospital. If my mom wasn't there in that hospital, I don't know where I would be right now. Without her, I don't think I'd be here, sitting right here without my mom. And it's not just my mom for what she's done. It's also how my mom is. My mom, she's very, very determined. It's so annoying too.
Whatever.
Because whenever she's focused on something, I just want to say I'm very, very blessed. It may not look like it, but it's crazy.
It's crazy. You do what now? What you do?
I leave a. Oh, come on.
Okay, I ain't gonna start. Okay.
I leave a. It's like people naturally
with that twig sticking out.
People like to follow me. People like to be around me a lot, and I gotta take responsibility on that as well, because
You are a leader.
I'm a leader, and I gotta show people the right way.
And what's the right way?
The right way is the way that God tells you. If you not with God, then you not in the right way. It don't matter how much money you got. It don't matter how many friends you got, how many people you know. If you ain't right with God, then some is gonna go wrong. It's inevitable. There's no way of getting past it. It's just like taxes. You can't get rid of taxes. Jesus will love you no matter how many mess ups you do, no matter how many times you sin. He's gonna be there for you no matter what. And
what do we have to do?
We have to just pray,
Speak. And what is praying? What is praying?
And speaking.
Speaking what?
Speaking what you want into existence.
That's right.
We podcast TV, the Joey Podcast TV.